The Premier League is back this weekend, and that is tomorrow. And yesterday I went ahead to give you a match preview of Man City versus Bournemouth, right? And I came and really told you about the fixtures that are going to be played on a Saturday. And it looks like all the big teams are going to be playing on a Saturday. And on Sunday, there is a big one, a Carabao Cup final that you're going to dissect later in the evening. Welcome to the Rokani Media Football. Arsenal are really returning back in action after losing away in Porto in the Champions League, and they want to obviously get back to the winning ways. Remember, ever since this year started, Arsenal had not gone ahead to lose a game in the Premier League. They lost to Arsenal, so they lost to Liverpool by 2-0 in the FA Cup. Then when they returned, they've gone ahead to win 5 Premier League games in a row, beating Crystal Palace 5-0, Nottingham Forest, that game ended to 1 in favor of Arsenal. They went ahead to beat Liverpool by 3-1. They went ahead to beat West Ham by 6-0. Lastly, they've just beaten Burnley by 5-0. And everyone thought that maybe they would go away in the Champions League and really try to utilize onto their form to obviously get all points at FC Porto, but that wasn't the case. It all ended in vain. So smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Arsenal is going to be playing Newcastle, and Newcastle has rested for a week, and Arsenal had a game in the midweek, so that shows you that Newcastle is a little bit fresh. But what was going to act as a boost or an uplift on the side of Arsenal to give them what we call a competitive advantage onto this game is being played at the Emirates. If this game was being played at the St. James's Park, it would have been a different story altogether. Last season, Arsenal went away at St. James's Park and won by 2-0. I think it was 2-0. Yeah, I remember. It was, I think, Martin Odegaard. Is it Granit Xhaka that went ahead to score those 2 goals? Then there was a very huge defensive display coming in through from Jakub Kiwior, and in the first 7 minutes of the game, Arsenal would have gone ahead to be like 3 goals down, but Jakub Kiwior really went ahead to save Arsenal on the day. It shows you the quality of these players and how good these players really become in certain situations and circumstances. Then when they came at the Emirates, the game ended 0-0, but Arsenal has a very good record on Newcastle, as you're gonna see into what we call the head-to-head start. Newcastle's recent 5 games, they've gone ahead to lose 1 to Man City. It ended 3-2. Then they went ahead as Newcastle to draw twice, and they've gone ahead to beat 2 teams. And the teams they beat was Aston Villa at home by 3-1. They went ahead to obviously beat Nottingham Forest by 3-2. And what's common, they've gone ahead to get these wins away from home. So you never know, they might really come in through at the Emirates Stadium when they're really charged to get the 3 points in there for you. They've drawn 4-4 with Luton Town, and their previous game at the St. James's Park, it ended 2-2 in favor of No One, and they had, by the way, to come from behind. I think they trade twice. And if you're Newcastle coming in through in a game of Arsenal like this, you really worry, because in their previous 5 games, they've gone ahead to concede those are 7, those are 9. They've gone ahead to concede 12 goals. 12 goals, and that means their defense is really porous. So that gives Arsenal a little bit of an advantage into this, because Arsenal have gone ahead to score 21 goals in their previous Premier League games. They've gone ahead to score 21 goals in their previous 21. They've gone ahead to score 21 goals in their previous 5 Premier League games. It shows you how good they are, and that will act as a threat onto this. Now, the big question is gonna be, was it a blip? Arsenal losing away at FC Porto, or it's gonna be a start of a shocker of a season of Arsenal that after losing to FC Porto, they're also gonna lose to Newcastle. That is it. It's really huge, and we really want to let you know that a lot is on stake into that game of football. And Arsenal is going to play that game of football after Liverpool played in the midweek and Liverpool is going to hit to stretch it to 60 points. And they are now, I think, 5 points ahead of Arsenal. And Man City would have gone ahead to play before Arsenal. And Arsenal will be knowing whether Man City have gone ahead to win or lose. But you all know that if Man City go ahead to win, they'll be at 59 points. And Arsenal will come in through with a little bit of pressure. And the pressure you wouldn't like to have when you're playing against a side called Newcastle, because it can shock you. Now, let's go to the team news of Newcastle. You know, we have some players of Newcastle that we don't expect to be part of this. Sandro Tonali suspended until the end of the season. He was suspended for 10 months. Nick Pope is having a shoulder injury, is out. Matt Target is having a thigh injury. Joe Ellington is having a thigh injury. And Elliot Anderson is having what we call a back injury, and he remains out of action. But Newcastle might welcome Alexander Isak, that is it, and Joe Willock, formerly at Arsenal, obviously coming through and will play for them. And even Fabian Schär, who plays in that central defense with Butman, might really come in through. For Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus is having an injury. Takahiro Tomiyasu is having a knock. Alexander Zinchenko is having a calf injury. Julian Timber, ACL victim. And those are the injuries they're really having. Fabio, Thomas Partey was back in training, and I think Arteta is going to give us a very huge insight onto his return and why he never traveled with Arsenal to FC Porto. Did he get a setback or not? Then Fabio Vieira also returned. So Arsenal really has some 2 players that we might see make it into this game of football. And the huge question is Arteta going to make some changes, or is going to leave his players really play as they want? That is the huge question that we are going to really get to know right now. Smash the like button, comment and share. Juma Karim to the Muslims, the Christians. May the living to God bless you abundantly. Want to see 200 likes in this video as Arsenal really gets charged for this fixture that all Arsenal fans are really looking at, because they know how important it is. And God has gone ahead to bless them that they've been having a very good run in the Premier League, and losing away at FC Porto won't really stop them. Let's get into this predicted starting 11 for the side of Arsenal, because the manager for the previous 2 games of the Premier League is going to hit to name what we call a lineup that was really unchanged. But let's see what we expect him to do. And by the way, also went ahead to name it in the 3rd game in a row when they are playing against FC Porto. That is it. So we go to the goalkeeper. David Raya is expected to be in the stitches, no doubts about it. I've seen people come out and really attack the goalkeeper. He's responsible for the goal that Arsenal conceded. Guys, I think you should understand football better, right? But I know he's going to be having a busy day. Newcastle will try to obviously coming through and shock the side of Arsenal. But David Raya will live up to his expectations to save the team. On the right back, it's none other than Benjamin White, playing as a right back for the side of Arsenal. And he's going to really be facing Anthony Gordon. And that's going to be one of the hugest battles that most of you will ever want to watch. And I think Benjamin White has gone ahead to show us that he's defensively solid, you know. But I think the problem of Benjamin White, and that's why Arsenal might go into the summer transfer window to get him a right back that really overlaps and has what we call the final third killer instinct, like Frimpong, is because his end product to the game is really lacking. That is of Benjamin White. But defensively, he has shown that he can really live up to the expectations and shield his side from the left forwards that are really threatening the Premier League. Left back, I think Jakub Kiwior is yet to start another 4th game consecutively. He had more 90 minutes in his tank when Arsenal was losing away, but he was really solid. He played very well, and he looked like all he needed was this: get in those minutes. And against Newcastle at the Emirates, it's really gonna be one of those games that are gonna put this guy to where everyone wants him to be. Then we go to the central defense. We know that Saliba is going to be played as a right-sided centre-back, and Gabriel Magalhaes is going to be played as a left-sided centre-back. When you look at that back line of Arsenal, the only position they are really having as a problem is the left-back position, because the players playing there are really injury prone. When you look at Jakub Hivio, he's just a versatile player, but we all know that he was signed because of his being a left-sided centre-back. But because they don't have Julian Timber, they don't have Tomiyasu, they don't have Zinchenko, this guy's going to hate to take centre stage to play as the left-back. So Ben White, Saliba, and Gabriel Magalhaes are the non-injury prone players in that central defense of Arsenal, and they've gonna hate to live up to the call of the manager. Every time Mikel Arteta really wants them to come in through and really orchestrate their duties, they've always been available. So when you look at those players, they've been really pivotal in Arsenal's season. They've not got injured at any point. Though Gabriel Magalhaes really had a very bad start of the season because Arsenal looked like they wanted to really try to sell him, And Thomas Partey was being played as a right back, and Benjamin White was being played in that central defense with William Saliba. So with Partey almost back, we don't know how the manager of Arsenal is going to really come up with the best of the best in there. We go to the central midfield. I think it's going to be Declan Rice. He's not going to be seated because to be a world-class player, you need to be able to play 60 matches, 60 matches. And I think the manager managed him a little bit better when Arsenal was playing against Burnley and when playing against West Ham. I think he never played a full 90. So he played a full 90 against FC Porto, and there is no reason as to why he doesn't start this beautiful game of Arsenal versus Newcastle. And I anticipate he's going to come in and obviously put in the required work. That is Declan Rice. Alongside who? Martin Odegaard into that midfield of Arsenal. I think he has been really crucial in the previous Premier League games they've gone ahead to play. In the previous two, 1 goal and 3 assists. That is Martin Odegaard for you. So alongside them is a new entrant that I believe should be given a chance to start in this game of football. That is none other than Fabio Vieira. And one will say he's back from a big injury and he shouldn't be starting in a game of such a magnitude. All right, I can buy your thought, but if at all I buy your thought, then Emile Smith-Rowe should be given a chance to start in that midfield alongside Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard, because all I want to know is when Arsenal is at the Emirates, they are going to go full blast. You shouldn't be having a Jorginho into that game of football, and I don't see the reason as to why Arteta is going to play Jorginho, yet he never started him away in FC Porto where he needed to start him. So, in a game like this, I don't see Mikel Arteta getting Jorginho, into the game. So for me, I would go with Fabio Vieira or Emile Smith-Rowe in that midfield. Then we go to the right forward, Bukayo Saka. I think with the form he has been enjoying the Premier League, really had a bad day in office on Wednesday, but I think that cannot stop him from obviously being that kind of player that can obviously be so pivotal in winning against a team like Newcastle. So I anticipate that Saka is gonna really get more goals in. He already has 12 in the Premier League, and there is a friend of mine I found on TikTok. He was like, can we bet Saka is not gonna hit 20 goals in the Premier League? I told him 13 games left. The guy scored 7 in the previous 6. So how do you expect him to obviously unfold in there for you? So the left forward is none other than Trossard. I go with Leandro Trossard, and one will ask, why are you throwing away Martinelli? I don't think that Martinelli deserves to start. You start Trossard and then get Martinelli off the bench in a game like this. You shouldn't really guarantee him a starting place when he's really performing very badly. That's my problem with Mikel Arteta. That he's trying to obviously give players confidence that even if they are performing badly, he's gonna come out and really get them a goal. This guy should be benched. He should be benched. I tell you, Martinelli should be benched 100% because of his performances. Ever since he scored a brace against Nottingham Forest, to me, he hasn't met or lived up to the expectations. That is it. He hasn't lived to the expectations. So I don't know why they should keep him on. He performed well against Liverpool, but in these other games, he has gone ahead to look very badly and ugrily. So I think you start Trossard and get Martinelli off the bench. And I hinted about it in the game of Arsenal that either Trossard or Martinelli would have been on the bench in the game of Nottingham Forest, because in that game, right, in that game of Nottingham Forest, sorry, in that game of FC Porto, you needed a firepower coming off the bench to really get you to where you deserve to be. And I think that firepower would have been either Trossard or Martinelli. But in the game of Newcastle, you'll need a Martinelli to come off the bench. And I think Arteta should think about it. Either Trossard or Martinelli shouldn't start. They shouldn't start all of them because he doesn't have quality off the bench. You know, when you're not having, when you're missing out on Gabriel Jesus, that means quality is really limited onto your bench. So I would start Trossard and then get on Martinelli. Remember Martinelli when he was playing against Crystal Palace, came off the bench and even scored a brace because of his pace. And that's what Arteta really got wrong, because you would have gone ahead, obviously, get him off the pitch and not take off Leandro Trossard in that game of FC Porto, because Trossard really had a lot to offer and Martinelli couldn't obviously do anything. But keep leaving him on the field of play for all those minutes resulted into him giving away that ball cheaply, and it was intercepted before it reached Saka, and then the goal came in through, or the goal followed. Leading the line, Kai Havertz, and it shows you how Arteta is not trusting Nketiah, and we don't know the update of Gabriel Jesus, and it's going to be given to us very soon. So that is the starting 11, or the predicted starting 11 for me, and I would love to see the team of Arsenal lining up like that, as more battles really raise up, with Kivio facing Miguel Amilon. When you look at Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, they'll be facing Alexandra Isak. If Adoli faces a late fitness test, Joe Willock, Bruno Guimaraes, and is it Trusty, that young boy who will be in that midfield of Newcastle? But they also have Longstaff, they also have Murphy, so it's really going to be a huge game for us to watch. But after that, you can as well go into the comment section and tell me what your thoughts are about this probable starting 11 of Arsenal versus Newcastle, and I'm also going to bring you that of Newcastle later. So let's go to what we call the head-to-head stats and see how these two teams have been faring, and then I'll go ahead and really get you my prediction. Not so? So we are having head-to-head. Arsenal are unbeaten in the last 11 Premier League home games against Newcastle, with last season goalless draw ending a 10-game winning run. Their last such defeat against the Magpies was in November 2010. So Arsenal have been beating Newcastle, and the best Newcastle is going to have to afford to do is a draw. Secondly, having won 1-0 at St. James's Park in the reverse fixture in November, Newcastle are looking to complete the Premier League double against Arsenal for just the second time, previously doing so in 1994 and 1995. So that was a controversial finish. You know, that goal that was scored, I think, by Anthony Gordon, you know, was the ball out or it was not out? The argument is still on that the ball was out, and Newcastle fans were like, all right, however much it was out, we walked away with 3 points. So they're looking for their first double against Arsenal. Thirdly, Arsenal have failed to score in 3 of their last 4 Premier League games against Newcastle, as they had in their previous 27 against them. However, the Gunners' 30 Premier League clean sheets against the Magpies is the most any side has kept against another in the competition. So Arsenal is really that firm, and we just wait and see how things are really going to happen. Then let's go to the last 2. Ayoze Perez was the last Newcastle player to score an away Premier League goal against Arsenal in 2014, with the Magpies failing to convert any of their 63 attempts on goal at Emirates since then. The Gunners have kept 7 consecutive home clean sheets against Newcastle, while they've never kept 8 consecutive shoutouts on home soil against an opponent in the league history. Also 7 by Man City between 1979 and 1989. Lastly, Arsenal have begun a calendar year with 5 successful league wins for the first time in the club's history, improving their goal difference by +19 during this run. So, only between February to April 2023, a run of 7, have Arsenal won more Premier League games consistently in a single season under Mikel Arteta. So, it happened last season. You know, Arsenal had to win 7 in a row, and this time round, Arsenal is going to have to win how many in a row? Arsenal has gone ahead to win. Arsenal's gonna head to win 5 in a row, and are they gonna make it 6? You know, because they're having Newcastle, and after Newcastle, Arsenal will be going in for which team? After Newcastle, Arsenal will play Sheffield, and after Sheffield, Arsenal will come out and really play Brentford. Trust me, Arsenal can even reach 8, because that game of Newcastle looks like it's at home, and Arsenal can obviously get what we call a win from it. They need a bounce back. They need to obviously show that they're a team that people think can win the league, because if you're supposed to win the league, you're supposed to do things that even your competitors are doing. Liverpool won. I think Man City will win at Bournemouth, and Arsenal will have to win against Newcastle. 3-1 win for the club of Arsenal. That's my prediction. I hope they bounce back and really get back to the winning ways. So that's what I had for you here onto the Rokani Media Football. You can tell me what your prediction is, which player do you keep in and which player do you take out in here onto the Rokani Media Football. I sign out for now. See you later. And don't forget to subscribe, because we want to hit 20,000 subscribers before the end of this month. May the living to God bless you abundantly. The Muslims Barakallahu Fikum. We out.